My name is James Rowlands, and in 2015 I started a WNR podcast with my friend
Dan White. And for 5 years we have brought you the very best of the network, but it's time for a change.
Now we don't just confine ourselves to Vinnie Mac, bring you AEW, Impact, NJPW and all the latest for the British wrestling scene.
But we will still bring you all our old favourites, including NXT Update, takeovers and live shows for the Big Four.
This year we will decide who is the greatest British wrestler in the world, plus so much more.
But until we watch everything, we are with you, and
we are the WNR. Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR 324. This is the 6th year for the WNR Awards, and for the first time we're splitting them up into NXT, WWE and AEW. Today it's NXT, and we have the pleasure to be joined by the Minder Monty. How you doing, mate? You right?
How you doing, James? I'm doing good. Happy to. How are you?
Very, very well, thank you. Just like to say Merry Christmas to everybody listening, and it's a lockdown still here in England, but Christmas was as good as I guess we could make it, as much as we can, and watched a little bit of wrestling. I think that's all you do at Christmas, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. You cozy up and you just, let the videos, let them stream. Let it go. Nice, you can just binge whatever you want. You get that break. You still got that, even though you're in the house most of the time. But definitely got to make the best, circumstances. But yeah, wrestling is definitely a great way to fill the void, not being able to go out. I can't wait until I'm allowed to go see a wrestling, but still, definitely love staying at home and watching wrestling.
Well, without a shadow of a doubt. And the thing is, it has been a tough couple of for the wrestling community, because first off, Danny Hodge died at the age of 88. This was announced on Saturday. Twice the NCAA recognised Hodge in 56 and 57 as the most outstanding wrestler. He was a national champion in the 177-pound weight class from 1955 to 57. He competed in the Summer Olympics in 56, winning a silver medal in freestyle wrestling. And of course, more associated with Jim Ross as well. He tweeted out, hero, riding partner and mentor, the great Danny Hodge has passed away. He was the best wrestler, amateur and pro, that he had ever known. Like I said, he is one of the probably greatest amateur wrestlers that there ever has been. He had a perfect 46-0 record as an amateur at the Sooners. And another thing about Danny Hodge, he's very well known for his kind of wrist strength. And there's some great YouTube videos of him as a kind of elderly man, and he can crush apples basically by just, his sheer grip. Very, very sad to hear, but 88 is a great innings,
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And it's been a just rough year overall. And of course, my condolences to everyone. And when you lose legends like that, I do agree that it is kind of cool to see them make it to that advanced age, because that's one of the downsides of being a fan of this love. We lose a lot of our greats. He definitely lived a long life, but especially in wrestler terms. But it's definitely a legend, and it's just sad to see him go. But it's just been one of those those years in that way.
Without a doubt, because as we're recording this now, I woke up to the news, the fact that John Huber, aka Brodley or Luke Harper, died at the age of 1. This is kind of the shocking news, because we'd seen him in his match against Cody, and that was a few months ago. Thought he was dealing with an injury, and this announcement, it's just kind of, and it's kind of rocked the wrestling world as well, hasn't it?
Oh yes, everyone, and I haven't. Everyone's affected by this. Watch wrestling. You know anyone who, if you're a fan of anyone, you haven't been, especially if you're on social. But man, it was just devastating to see that. I couldn't believe it when I read it. All Elite Wrestling's Instagram post. So it was just, I couldn't believe it. I read it out. I had to reread it a couple of, just shocked. And it hurts, because he had so. I think as if you've been paying attention to him for a while, especially with the way things ended in WWE, he has so much you would like for him to do, and he was just kind of scratching the surface. This Dark Order, and it just sucks. The timing is horrible, and it's just again one of those in an accumulation. Oh man, it's crazy the amount of stuff that has happened just in this year, and this was just one way to oh man, just another reminder. Man, life is man, and his family he left behind. I send my condolences, and it's just everyone felt this, and it sucks. It really sucks.
Well, in this day and age where WWE, AEW, NXT fans might have a go at each other across Twitter, it seems that today they've kind of embraced themselves, and even AEW kind of commenting on the WWE's tweet about him. The WWE Network have got up the best of Luke Harper, and of course he started. This is the thing that you were just saying as well. With the Brody Lee character, with the Dark Order, just kind of starting to get really hot in AEW, and of course, we look at him in the Wyatt family. I mean, I don't think there's a match that I've been more excited for in the past maybe 10 years than the Wyatts versus the Shield at Elimination Chamber in 2014. And when you look at at that time, Bray Wyatt is a good character, but maybe not the best of workers. The same with Eric Rowan. And, Harper was the kind of guy that was the glue that held it all together. And like you said, it's just so shocking, and it is devastating as well,
Oh, yes, definitely devastating. And I read a post about, and it was, yeah, that as you read it, you start to kind of tear up just listening to it from Bray's perspective and seeing how it affected him and losing someone like that. And you can, like I said, you can only imagine it's just devastating all around. And a photo with Shad Gaspard, and still hurts. Yeah, man, it was a rough day yesterday when hearing this news. The wrestling community, we definitely felt it.
Yeah, well, that's obviously said. To 2020, it's been one of the worst years, not just on Earth, so to speak, but with the wrestling community. There's been so much, hardship and just kind of horror, and we're hoping now that we 2020 and we move forward to 2021, hopefully, like we said, we can kind of heal as a wrestling world together. We'll be at AEW, NXT, or WWE fans and come together and just realise at this moment in time that the performers putting their lives on the line for us is probably the most important thing right now.
I agree 100%. I think that whole NXT thing is one of the most unimportant things at the moment, and it really should be moved to the side when it comes to situations like this. And I've seen some distasteful things, and I don't even want to go there, but the time of day. But the point is, just you can tell it affected a lot of people, and that little petty, it falls in the way, it falls back. The important, this is a big, a loss of a life. It affects a family. They don't deserve to have, that type of thing going on when it's as regards to losing a loved one. You just, like you said, you just hope that we can, use this to maybe come together and realize that a lot of wrestling, and it's usually top notch on both ends. We can just enjoy that and come together as a wrestling.
I think without a doubt, like I said, RIP, Brody Lee, and the thoughts to your wife and your kids. But we will have just one last look back now at 2020, because we're going to have a retrospective look back at NXT this year. And crazily enough, it started January 25th, and it was when Worlds Collide. It was NXT versus NXT UK. I couldn't believe that this show was this year, stuff that has actually happened in 2020.
It feels like a century. Like everything is. I agree. You couldn't tell me that this was this year. And I remember watching, and I remember now that I look at the card, and I remember all of it. You couldn't tell me, like you said, that this happened this year. It's insane how far away.
Right. Well, we had defeating Mia Yim on the pre-show. Then we had Finn Balor defeating Ilya Dragunov, Jordan Devlin defeating Angel Garza, Aziz Scott, and Travis Banks for the Cruiserweight Championship. DIY, Johnny Gargano twice a champion, defeating Mustache Mountain, Trent Seven, and Tyler Bate. What a match that was. Yeah. Rhea Ripley defeating Toni Storm, for the NXT Women's Championship. And then Imperium, Volta, Fabian Eichner, Barthel, and Alexander Wolf defeating the Undisputed Era, Riley, Bobby Fish, and Roderick Strong. Now, I was rating my scores back then for the card, and I gave that a 9.25 out of 10. My match of the night was Imperium versus Undisputed Era. What I can remember from it, I don't think it was a bad show, and it was kind of warming us up for the Royal Rumble that weekend, I feel.
I agree. Yeah, it definitely warmed up the Royal Rumble, which was also a very, very hot show that weekend. This card, it's hard again. Like I think, and this is what's gonna happen with a lot of things pre-pandemic. You gotta look at it different completely, almost from everything else that I've seen since fans have not been allowed. Like fans can just change the way an entire pay-per-view or card feel just by the energy. It makes such it can go on forever. But the match that I'm enjoying the main event versus the Undisputed Era, of course. But I definitely also enjoyed Finn Balor, Dragunov. That match, even though I could have been a little bit better, I don't know if it lived up to the hype. I enjoyed it. I thought the right person won, and I think Dragunov. But yeah, other than that, it's just hard. Again, like I said, you don't even remember this happened, so I don't even think I can compare it to a lot of some of the other stuff on in the year. But it was definitely a strong card.
I think without a doubt, and I've got to say quickly, because it's seen as a British representative as well, NXT UK got hurt more than probably anything else this year inside WWE. Right. We had one takeover at the start of the year, which was a fantastic match between, of course, Tyler Bate and Volta. But then since we've had a couple of great matches in NXT UK, but like I said, get the pandemic out of the way, and then we can start building on UK takeovers. Our first American takeover was February 16th, and it was NXT Takeover Portland. This was, right, let's have a look at the card. We have Keith Lee defeating Dominik Dijakovic for the North American Championship. We had Dakota Kai defeating Tegan Nox in a street fight. Finn Balor defeating Johnny Gargano. Rhea Ripley defeating Bianca Belair for the Women's Championship. The Broserweights, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne defeating the Undisputed Era for the Tag Team titles. And of course, the Broserweights had won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, getting through Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, Imperium in the semi-finals, and the Grizzled Young Vets in the finals. I couldn't even remember there was a Dusty Tag Classic this year. And then the main event was Adam Cole defeating Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship.
Yeah, this is insane. Like, think about this. Like Bianca Belair, I know Tegan Nox is injured, but Tegan Nox, Dijakovic, a completely different NXT almost. Like, wow. And this is earlier this year.
Without doubt. I mean, my match of the night was Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic. These two had tremendous chemistry throughout the year. They were kind of feuding, and I gave it a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I remember really enjoying this card. I like Finn Balor's match with Gargano. Of course, anytime Dijakovic fight is going to be insane. It was the only thing I always didn't like. Predictably, always going to win at some point. That kind of messed it up. But I getting to winning, it's a great ride. I also remember enjoying the Broserweights winning, but that's just because I enjoyed the Broserweights altogether. But like again, Matt Riddle, not even on NXT, completely different NXT at this time. But yeah, this was the first. This was in a pandemic too, right? This was a pandemic show, I believe. So.
No, this was the last one before. So
okay, this was before. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
This had a crowd. Okay, there we go. Gotcha.
And so, like I said, and then the following month, because this is in February, the next takeover wouldn't be till June because obviously COVID happened there. Exactly. And we're just talking about the Broserweights. Pete Dunne couldn't then travel to defend the titles with Matt Riddle, so they got Timothy Thatcher. And of course, those two had a barn burner of a match. Between the two, but of course Pete Dunne, who's now back anyway. Like I said, and then the first takeover of the pandemic was NXT in Your House, and this was June 7th. We had Mia Yim, Shotzi Blackheart, and Tegan Nox defeating Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. Damian Priest, Keith Lee defeating Johnny Gargano for the North American title. Adam Cole defeating Velveteen Dream in a backlot brawl for the NXT title. Karrion Kross making his debut and defeating Tommaso Ciampa, and Io Shirai defeating Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley for the women's title.
I really enjoyed this main. I remember that when Io Shirai did become the champion. I remember liking that. But I do want to point out that my favorite match, and I think I'm doing this every show, and you guys will really get it at some later on. But Finn Balor's match was one of the most memorable matches of this card for me, and obviously, not only am I biased towards Damian Priest, but Damian one of the sickest back bumps that I don't think I would ever, if I ever was to take bumps. It was insane. I still remember it. It was probably one of the most memorable moments of the year for me. And yeah, I think that was when Damian Priest became a babyface, right off that one bump.
Yeah, he went back off the apron onto the stairs that was there, and I think I can still hear the kind of thud now from it. That's how bad it was.
Yes, it was insane.
One of the interesting things, and of course we're going to reach on it with WNR Awards later, but Velveteen Dream. I mean, he was a guy in 2019 that was going to be the next big star, not only of NXT, of WWE, the entire roster. And of course, we've had stories, and even in British wrestling this year, we've dealt with speaking out, which is saying obviously it has to be, talked about in that way. But Velveteen Dream still was a part of NXT, and Triple H said no. We're going to use him, and then kind of put into the middle of a takeover in this way. It's a simple question. Could the Dream maybe have done anything different, or do you think this was kind of always, are you upset that it's happened to Dream, or has he got what he deserved?
Well, based on what he's been accused of, and if that's true, he definitely got. Well, no, I don't know if he still has a job. If he's done with what he's been accused of, he still has a job. He has not got what he. But I will say that what he could have spoke out on the situation more and tried to defend himself better. But I know how leagues work. A lot of times being quiet is due. I don't know, but it's weird. But at the same time, when that situation happens, you get in that situation, it is on you. So it's hard for me to have two for him. But him still having his job he ought to be thankful for that. Obviously, I think that's because of we know how talented. I honestly will tell you this has all happened. He has still, when he gets in the ring, like even this match recently against Adam Cole, he can still like really do his job well. But it's just hard to ignore that. I don't know. Like I said, I think he's definitely perfect for one of your awards. And I don't know. He's definitely falling for.
I think without a doubt, it's one of these things where you just look at it, and we have had it before in someone like Mr. Kennedy, where they've been told as the next big thing. Obviously, different things happen, but I think with Triple H to say, "Oh, we're going to keep him on NXT," is obviously they don't want to kind of push him to the moon at the moment. But it'd be interesting to see what he does. I also remember Karrion Kross because I've seen bits and pieces of Impact and with Kross there, but to come in and absolutely destroy Ciampa the way he did in under 7 minutes was kind of a statement of intent, I feel, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. It established him as the real deal. It set up the next takeover, by the way, kind of with the dominance. You knew he was going straight to the top of the card. It was just great. It was great for him. It was a great look. I was definitely shocked by it. I thought match, even though I watched it, he was dominant kind of like that in Impact, maybe, but it's still shocking when you know NXT's reputation and Ciampa's it's definitely shocked to see him dominated like that. But I definitely think he did the job because Karrion Kross is a made man, and I think if it's one thing when you take out somebody like Ciampa, you fear things around you, and he's already doing a great job he makes you fear him. That's one thing I'll say, and that works well for him.
Yeah, and one of the other things, well, is Io Shirai jumping off the top of the In Your House set onto Charlotte and Ripley again. It's just really, really enjoyable. In Your House was fun because they brought back all the retro stuff, and I think they've done that with NXT this year. And I think when you look at it, I think it's actually worked more times than it hasn't. Especially when it comes to that. My score for that was 8.5. Match was Gargano versus Lee. And we talk about bringing back from the past. We had the Great American Bash, which was a special July 1st and July 8th. On the first night, we had Tegan Nox defeating Candice LeRae to become number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. Timmy Thatcher defeated Oney Lorcan. Rhea Ripley defeated Aliyah and Robert Stone. Dexter Lumis defeated Roderick Strong in a strap match. And Io Shirai defeated Sasha Banks with Bayley. And on night 2, you had Candice LeRae defeating Mia Yim. Bronson Reed defeated Tony Nese. Johnny Gargano defeating Swerve. Legado del Fantasma defeating Maverick Breezango. Mercedes Martinez defeating Santana Garrett. and then Keith Lee defending his North American the NXT title off Adam Cole.
Yeah, I think that last match definitely left its mark. Even though I have to say, one of the guys from Sure tried to ruin it, but I will not bring that up. These were very strong shows. Sides, I think from night one, I definitely enjoyed Timothy Thatcher's and Oni Larkin's one-on-one match. That match was great. I can't believe it. They say it's a 10-minute match. They could have did that forever. It was beautiful. I remember enjoying that match a lot. Dexter Lumis and Roderick Strong, the strap match. Of course, Io and Sasha Banks. I remember that match. I did better, but we can move on from that. Johnny Gargano. I thought his match was so strong. This was very strong television for 2 weeks in a row. I don't necessarily, but definitely for moments, Keith Lee and Adam Cole was one of the biggest moments.
Yeah, I think this was NXT's first first go of saying, right, this is our kind of big show over 2 weeks to kind of battle Fyter Fest. But I think it made the product better, and to have a match, because like I said, it was takeover worthy rather than Cole with his such a lengthy reign going against Keith Lee. And I think such a moment there, that was my match of the show, and I gave that an 8.5 out of 10.
Definitely, it was well deserved.
All right, move on to our next takeover, which was NXT Takeover 30, August 22nd. We had Breezango defeating Owen Lorcan, Danny Burch, and Legado del Fantasma determine the number one contenders for the NXT titles. Finn Balor defeated Timothy Thatcher. Damian Priest defeated Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Johnny Gargano, and The Dream for the NXT North American title in a ladder match. Adam Cole defeated Pat McAfee. Io Shirai defeated Dakota Kai for the NXT Women's title. And Karrion Kross defeating Keith Lee for the NXT Championship.
Yes, I don't know where Takeover went on the reception, as far as its reception. But I do remember really, really enjoying this from all the way from the beginning to the end, especially the ladder match and Finn Balor and Timothy Thatcher. Those matches were very strong points. Again, Timothy Thatcher really established himself, in my opinion, throughout this as a guy that they can count on to go and if you put him with another elite wrestler, that they're gonna put on a great match, and it's gonna tell a great story. And I really love Thatcher's style. Pat McAfee's impressive performances ever for someone that hasn't been wrestling for forever or hasn't been trained to wrestle for a long time. Karrion Kross, even with injury, still finishing the match and defeating Keith Lee, shocking everyone at the end. It was definitely a strong.
That North American ladder match was bananas, wasn't it? And Priest getting the victory. It was probably the best thing there. And like I said, Pat McAfee's performance. I hated Pat McAfee, but there's after a while you kind of have to begrudgingly respect him because the performance he put in as an elite performer as Adam Cole. Yes, it helped him, get carried in the match, but he still had to do his work for it. And like you said, Kross at the end. I still don't think beating Keith Lee. They've moved him up to the main roster now, but I still decisions they've made having Kross just run through Lee and then move in there, because obviously we had Karrion Kross's injury from that as well, didn't we?
Yes, I agree 100%. I did not agree with it at the time. Still not too happy about it. I wish Keith Lee would have been allowed to have a longer reign or at least stay in NXT. To be honest, altogether. But it's not up to us, unfortunately. But yes, Karrion Kross, I will say again, establishing him as the new guy to beat and maybe putting someone over down the line, and so much Kross falls to a Finn Balor or whoever it is down the line. Maybe you can look at it that way and understand it. But yeah, I agree. I wouldn't have Karrion Kross run. But that ladder match is one of the strong. It was just another time where you just had to you just got to tip your cap. And I don't wear hats. You have to tip it, because that ladder match was just insanity, and it was great. All 21 minutes. I loved it.
I think without that was my match of the show, and I gave that an 8.5 out of 10. And we spoke about in the main event, Karrion Kross got injured and had to relinquish the NXT Championship. And it was to be decided on Super Tuesday. This was September 1st. We had Azia Swerve Zango defeating Legado del Fantasma. We had Candice LeRae defeating Casey Catanzaro, Timothy Thatcher defeating Bronson Reed, and then in the Fatal 4-Way Iron Man match for the NXT Championship, Ciampa versus Adam Cole versus Gargano versus Balor ends in a tie between Cole and Balor at 2-2 and 1-1. So then we had NXT Super Tuesday Night 2, September 8th, and Finn Balor defeating Adam Cole for the NXT Championship, and also we had The Dream defeating Ashanti Adonis, Bronson Reed defeating Austin Theory, Strong and Dane, and Ripley defeating Mercedes Martinez. But I think the big story from that was a new NXT champion.
Yes, one of the best matches ever I've seen. I think definitely deserves it. It's almost Finn Balor. I'm trying my best not to spoil my has so many of my favorite matches, and it's just like you almost forget about this. It was just honestly, and but it was great. I remember watching not only the Adam Cole at the tie. It was insanity. Just watching those guys go for. I remember it being dramatic. I think it took like at least the last hour of the show or something almost. Like it was a great match. Man, I really that match from that show, and I think that overall carried the rest of the show. Because not saying that the rest, lacked, but I don't think it held a counter to what happened in that main event.
Yeah, I think with about all the kind of specials that we've had this year, that one was more for about, like we said, that title match and then the carry on from it, which is nothing wrong with that. And then we move on October 4th, and it's NXT 31. It's the first one that you joined us with. We both scored at 10. And, of course, we're going to run through the card. We had Damian Priest defeating Johnny Gargano for the North American title. Kushida defeating the Velveteen Dream by submission. Santos Escobar defeating Azia Swerve Scott for the Cruiserweight title. Io Shirai defeating Candice LeRae for the Women's Championship. And Finn Balor defeating Kyle O'Reilly in just an all-out war.
Yes, man. We came away from that match, and that's the reason why I remember getting that high rating from us. We came away from watching Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor do battle, and it was just breathtaking. I could watch that on, it's just insane how physical it was and how towing the line between professional wrestling, the strong style, and just the injuries after the match to only just kind of make them even more like warriors. Finn Balor looked like afterwards, even though he won. Like, oh man, it's perfect. And man, it's hard for me and I remember enjoying that entire show, but man, that main event sticks out in my.
I think without a doubt, when you break your jaw in a matchup, it just shows you how crazy that is. And I think the overall show as well was really good. And then we had Halloween Havoc on the 28th of October. We had Johnny Gargano defeating Damian Priest in a Devil's Playground match for the NXT North American title. Santos Escobar defeating Jake Atlas. Dexter Lumis defeating Cameron Grimes in a Horton House of Terror match. Rhea Ripley defeating Raquel Gonzalez. And Io Shirai defeating Candice LeRae in a Tables, Ladders and Scares match for the NXT Women's Championship. That got a 9.25 from me and a 9 from you. Our match of the night was the ladder match, but I think that whole event was near on perfect.
Yes, with the theme, the timing, the set, the way they performed it, and the way it all came together, the card basically was perfect. Even with the bad finish, in my opinion, for North American Championship match. But other than that, maybe Jake Atlas match you could do without. Other than that, the rest of it, perfect, magnificent. I could take it any time of the day. And man, I still shout out to those ladies in that main event for taking some of those bumps.
Oh, without a doubt. That was just terrible. What they did to each other in that match. And of course, it was Cameron Grimes as well. His performance making me a fan of him in the Haunted House of Terror match against Dexter Lumis. Like I said, it was a great show. And then the last takeover of the year was December 6th, and it was NXT TakeOver War Games. Our match of the night was the Women's War Games match, and I gave that a 9.25, and you gave that a 9. So let's just have a look. Of course, we started off with the Women's War Games match, which was again, even how long has it been since? Like nearly a month. It's still quite incredible when you think we talk about the punishment just the NXT Women's division have put through each other this year. I think it's incredible, and then we get to that match as well Of course, it's Team Canada, Kai, Gonzalez, Tony Storm defeating Team Shotzi with Moon, Ripley, and Shiai. I mean, the spots in that were just incredible. Then we had Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher in, again, a brutal encounter. Dexter Lumis defeating Cameron Grimes in a strap match and ending that feud. Johnny Gargano defeating Damian Priest and Leon Ruff for the North American title. And then the Undisputed Era defeating Team McAfee along with Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, and Lorcan in a War Games match. It was pretty incredible.
Yes, it really was. It was just a perfect. I think that last match really looked like what it's like. It definitely looked. That's the one time I say a wrestling match matched the stipulation. Like it looked like a war. And they did a great job at match. Again, Pat McAfee impressive. Like you said, the ladies again in the War Games, like just some of those spots and the eclipse on the chair just flashed in my head again. I'm sorry, but yeah, it was a great night all together. And Ciampa, and don't forget Ciampa and Thatcher, another strong match. So it was just War Games was a great way to finish off 20 NXT.
Yeah. So I mean, and if you look back, they've had COVID to deal with, and of course not doing shows in front of the crowd. I think NXT, better than not, you got a couple of problems with the tag team division. Offense and the takeovers have really delivered this year.
I agree. I think they've done an incredible job with very strong shows, no matter, and doing the best with what they had, so far, all with the circumstances and main roster call-ups, and of course with COVID and everything that's been going on. And I love their willing every takeover or every special be creative. No matter what it is, I felt like they were being creative the entire time, and trying to make everything make sense within a theme, and just create and produce a strong show. And I loved it. So I think they did really good, especially within the circumstances.
I think with shadow of a doubt, NXT has delivered this year. But now it is time, and like we said, we are going to look at Annual WNR Awards. We're going to run through the list with here now we've got, and of course Monty will join me with what we have. And the first awards that we're going to give away. First off, are you excited for the WNR Awards? I mean, it's the 6th annual. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about them before.
Of course I have, and I'm honored to be a part of the 6th annual. It's nice to be finally a part of the WNR Awards. I'm excited to be here.
So we're going to start the award show right now, and our first award to be presented is the Johnny Gargano Award for most punishment taken in a match. Now, for anybody that's never listened to the show before, this award was first handed out to Johnny Gargano in a ladder match when he was teaming with DIY going against the Authors of Pain, where not only did he receive the most hellacious beating from AOP, but then Tommaso Ciampa then turned on him and ended the friendship between the two. So that is what it's here for. I mean, and we talked about punishment in a lot of matches here tonight, but I'm going to give Johnny Gargano Award for most punishment taken in the match to his wife, Candice LeRae, for the Halloween Havoc ladder match versus Io Shirai.
Oh yes, I agree 100%. Same exact pick that she definitely deserve it. I think it's perfect that she wins the Gargano Award. Of course, I think that's all a part of the Gargano way. They planned all of this, they planned it. I don't know how they, did it, but they did it, and now winning even here together. And but yeah, she deserves it. That match, those bumps, man, it's insanity. If you didn't watch it, please go check out her and Io Shirai. Absolutely try to kill each other.
Well, the thing is, I forgot about the table spot, because Candice puts Io through like 2 tables at ringside, brings her back in, and then you get the bumps, kind of end all bumps when Io pushes her off, and Candice goes, I'm just going to land knee first on the ladder here.
Oh my God. Yes, I'm wincing now just remembering. It was insane. I wrote definitely Io Shirai took some punishment also. They both dished it out. It was insanity, man. And it was memorable. Is that bump at the end where you're just like, why? Could you please protect yourself?
Well, and then she obviously later on in the year thought that's not enough. Let me try and break my arm at War Games because, like I said, the women's division is crazy. You know.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think they a lot of people in the best division, not just best women's division, but just division in all of wrestling, and they are trying to. They're willing to do anything to.
I think without a doubt. All right, so our next award then is going to be, well, there's two in one here because you've got the internet's most loved, can do no wrong, and the internet's most hated, can do no right. So I don't know which one you want to go for, most loved or most hated first.
Let's go most love first. Let's be positive first.
All right, so my most loved, internet's most loved, can do no wrong, is AEW.
Okay. You don't even have to explain that one. I get it.
Because it leads into my internet's most hated, which is Vince McMahon.
Oh man.
Because when you think about it, I've been doing polls for like every show of NXT for like the past year and a half, and AEW fans, even when the show has not been that good, will vote for that show to be correct. And it seems AEW can do even that awful pay-per-view they had was 3 or 4 months ago. They were saying it was kind of the best show ever, and with Vince McMahon, they could put on the best show ever, and you would still have a go at Vince for not doing something right, you know?
Yeah, I can understand that. It is some very irrational, AEW fan, or just fans in general about certain things on both sides. Some people can be irrational. I agree. I think they're way harder than past impress some of just like whether they don't like WWE morally or whatever. It's a whole little thing there that you can kind of see formulating in the community, but. I definitely understand it. Like you said, as soon as you said AEW, I got it. I got it. I get
it. Who would you say is the most loved, the most hated at this moment in time?
Okay, so in this moment in time, the most, I would have to go ahead. I wrote down Velveteen Dream, but the only reason why I pointed him out was I was thinking of it in the NXT realm. But I'm thinking about it now. Let's just do it widespread. Guys like Velveteen Dream, the Jackson Rikers, the Lars Sullivans, those guys in there. A couple of guys who were spoke out again, of course. So yeah, those guys, and deservedly, I'm saying these guys do deserve to get hated on if what these people were claimed against them is all true. And in a lot of these cases, it's looking bad. So that's what came to my mind. I don't know if what I get on social media, but I'm just thinking about an accumulation as the year went on. It's been a lot in the community of that, and like I said, deservedly so for some of these. Most of these people in that category is action. And in internet, especially from an NXT point of view, the only negative thing I've heard anyone tell me about Shotzi Blackheart is that they just hope that she does not hurt. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, and that's like they want her to get help because, sometimes, everything don't work out the way she plans it every now and time. Even when they do work out, it looks really, really rough. And I don't know how she survived some of the bumps. She was definitely a candidate for the Gargano Award, by the way. But yeah, that's my internet. Honorable mention, Io Shirai. She can do no wrong.
Yeah, I think without a doubt with that one, a couple of great answers there. All right, we'll move on to our next award, and this is Promo of the Year. And this is quite difficult for me because I was trying to think back of memorable promos. And of course, one recently saying that, the team games are over. Pat McAfee, anything that he does really is great. But what I'm picking out is Tommaso Ciampa's one. I think it was at NXT TakeOver. And he was basically saying, this is not NXT anymore. This is not the NXT that he knows and loves. And I think I can relate to that promo more than anything at the moment because NXT has had a few changes and it is not the same as it was, like we said, a year or even 2 years ago. To say that and the way they had it set, I think it's my favourite from the year.
Yeah, I agree. If you've been watching, not even, not the reality show version, like 2014 NXT on to now, man, it's completely different. And I agree, a relatable and strong promo. One of my favorites was something that I agree tough because to be honest, I think either not that no one is that memorable. I just consider most promos on NXT. I don't think that's their main focus
Yeah.
is to be overly uh whatever it is with their promos. It's more so in ring action. They do more talking, more storytelling with their in ring work. They keep it short and sweet for the most part in promos. But of course that changes depending on who it is. But I like Keith Lee's promo towards Karrion Kross on July 29th in response to when Kross attacked Dijakovic. I love his energy. I love the intensity he brought to that moment. It was short, but it was perfect. And then of course the segment was made even better when Cameron Grimes decided to come out and have the nerve to speak to a very angry Lee who immediately just destroyed him just for interrupting his promo. So yeah, I enjoyed that. That was very, very strong moment. That may be forgotten since it happened in the summer.
I think, like I said, the past, even looking back on the year, to see how important Keith Lee was to the entire NXT brand up until his loss to Karrion Kross. And it kind of gets forgotten about because obviously what he's done on the main roster since. But like you said, he's a huge part of NXT. And like I said, we talk about promo as well. It's an excellent point. Of the fact is they don't kind of rely on that, or if they do, it's more kind of vignettes or something that's happening backstage as opposed to getting the mic and doing it in ring. And I think, like I said, Pat McAfee at the moment in time is kind of showing a lot of people what to do. Our next awards is another one where I think NXT is kind of maybe lacking, especially on the main roster. We talk about manager of the year because, there's not that many choices when it comes to NXT,
Not at all. I actually Robert Stone by default. I don't think this manager, but he may be one of the only managers that NXT have. Maybe Scarlett. I think she complements the person that she manages the most out of anyone who manages. So maybe Scarlett Bordeaux for Cross, but I don't really other than Robert Stone and Bivens now, but with Rush beginning.
Well, it's a bit of a shame, really, when it comes to manager, because the manager can be important. Like to talk about as well, when someone maybe can't hit a promo and they can do it for them. But I think Robert Stone's going to be my pick because a lot of people are saying that, it's based on Tony Khan with the kind of AEW stuff. But I think he's actually made the character more entertaining than that. And to get run over by a tank, what was it, 2 or 3 times the way he has done, and the feud with Rhea Ripley, and he's every time, which I think kind of a little snotty manager like him should, and then we'll see where we go from there. But I think it's definitely something NXT needs to look at in that way.
Yes, I think it's a dying art, in WWE as a whole, the manager. I would love to see.
And we move on to the next award, and that is Commentator of the Year.
I don't know if I'm biased. I don't really think personally for me, but it was just so great to see in this position and back. So I maybe I don't know if he's done enough to deserve it because he wasn't here the entire year, but he's been great since he's been there, and I think he deserves the commentator award.
Well, I've got to say, my commentator of the year, again, is Wade Barrett. So we've gone the same for that. I think it's the reason of Mauro Ranallo. Don't get me wrong, he had a lot of emotion, he had a lot of passion, but he did slightly overkill sometimes when it comes to NXT TakeOver events. I love someone like a Nigel McGuinness. I think he's a fantastic commentator. And Vic Joseph at this moment in time as well, I think he's come from that learning tree. And I was so pleased because I've heard Barrett do commentary, and the way he's just taken it like a duck to water, of a kind of like Nigel McGuinness did. And he's just settled in so well. And he's not offending anybody. Do you know what I mean? He's like a great commentator. He's a bit like a great referee as well, where you don't really notice they're there, but they're giving you what you need as the match goes on. And, they're not kind of trying to shout over the other guy. They're just adding to the match. And because of his experience and, the matches he's been in and who he's faced, you kind of take that as a kind of expert opinion. I think it works really well at the moment.
Right, he's not overly annoying. Some people when they play the role of, especially in his role on commentary, I called him stupid. Of course, I meant Wade Barrett earlier, but Barrett is just so good at just doing like he doesn't have to do much. Like I've seen JBL sometimes too much on commentary. And like, I just love how Stu keeps it simple. And like you said, everything is believable. I don't know if it's just because of his voice or if it's just because we love Wade Barrett altogether. He's just perfect, and I think he's the award going away actually. And I miss Morrow. Vic Joseph and Wade Barrett have picked up the slack perfectly, and yeah, it's great.
And we talk about our next award because it could be Barrett getting a double here. Might not. It's comeback of the year. It's the comeback of the year in NXT. I've got to say that my one. Looking back on comebacks, I kind of, we've had Finn Balor's one. I think my favourite comeback, and I'll get on to explain a little bit more about it in a bit as well, is Ember Moon. Because Ember Moon coming back to NXT, I was lucky enough with, a few friends to watch Asuka versus Ember Moon for the NXT Women's Championship in England in 2017. And those battles and that story of Ember Moon just not, being the best in the division, but just having someone who was that little bit better. And it kind of, the similarities between like a kind of Rocker or a Stone Cold storyline of these are the two best, and Ember Moon just can't quite get the job done. Her coming back, I'm thinking, right, let's get behind her and let's see what she can do. And like I said, I'll get more on that in a bit. Who's your comeback of the year?
I agree. I believe Ember Moon is perfect position. It was very exciting to see her back in. I think this is not only her character, but fresh off the injury, I think it's perfect to come back in and get everything back together and just I can't wait to see what else they can win. So I definitely think she deserves comeback. And honorable mention, I don't remember if it will come back. I don't remember exactly came back, but I know since he's come back, Kyle O'Reilly had the level, so I wanted to give him a shout out there for when he took a break kind of away early in the pandemic, I believe, or whatever. And he returned. He's been on another level since. Just wanted to get that shout out.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. That's an excellent thing. We move on now to two of the personal favourites. We've got Holy Shit 1 and 2. So we've got Holy Shit 1, which is good. Holy Shit 2, which is bad. I don't think it's any surprise. But my holy shit good of the year, and you talk about, Damian Priest's bump and everything happened. It took place at NXT War Games, and it was Io Shirai on the top of the cage with that little smile on her face before she took the trash can on and then dove into the darkness. I mean, I have watched that, I would say, half a dozen times now.
Oh, man. Definitely one of the most enjoyable moments in not NXT history, like wrestling history.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just so enjoyable. I understand that. My pick was Keith Lee becoming double champ. It was just perfectly executed. If you just watch how the match against him with Adam Cole finished, it was just all. I remember really this is just incredible. The only thing it takes away from this moment is what happened, his title run. But enough about that. This moment, I definitely said holy shit, and I was definitely in a good mood about it. So I think this fits perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, especially with holding the two titles up the ticker tape, it was just a picture perfect moment, much like Io with a little smile before she dives off. We'll move on to Holy Shit Bad. This was difficult as well because, again, I'm not one of those, NXT fanboys that go, well, nothing was terrible. But I was trying to think, has anything, offended me or... And it was Pat McAfee if this was 6 months ago. But I think I've got to say now, the thing that's really I thought holy shit was bad was the whole ghost face thing in NXT.
Okay, there you go. Okay, that's a good pick. I honestly, I liked it. I'm mad because the thing that came to my mind when I thought holy, and I agree this was difficult because it wasn't much, in my opinion, that I just thought was bad, so bad. Nothing really came to mind. But Charlotte, not necessarily, but also defeating her, putting over no one. That whole little, thing before she left, and now that she's returned. Welcome back, Queen, of course. But I did not like. I was hoping that when Charlotte beat Rhea, that they were going somewhere, and someone would prevail. And I know maybe since Io won it, but she didn't beat Charlotte. She won it the way she won the triple threat match. It wasn't necessarily being put over by Charlotte, in my opinion. But I mean, I guess, but Io was already. Charlotte was needed there. But again, that was my only thing that was bad. And I know that's not in this control. That's the worst thing I think of.
But the thing is, and again, I'm not having a go at Charlotte here, but she's pissed me off at a few WrestleManias now. You know, defeating Oscar, defeating Rhea Ripley. Oh no, it's not her, but getting involved in Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch's match, but it should have been single at WrestleMania. Like I said, they were placed and they protect her above and beyond, you know, than most wrestlers on the roster. I think the Ghostface thing was just annoying because of how long it kind of went. And after a while, you know, kind of having that moment where you're waiting for the reveal of who it is, you see multiple ones, you go, oh, wait a minute, no, it's just Austin Theory. And the whole point of that storyline, was it for, you know, it was me, Austin, it was me all along, then that shouldn't have taken 3 months to get to.
I agree. It definitely didn't deserve all the suspense they tried to put around it. And, I agree.
Going now on to our next award, which is a tweet of the year. Well, this for me, I could have picked out kind of wrestler's tweet or something NXT did, but again, I'm gonna cheat, and it is the Io Shirai meme from her jumping off the top of the cage. I mean,
and I understand it. I get do no wrong. She's awesome, and yes, making a meme of that is perfect. It's one of those moments again, one of the greatest moments that you'll ever see in any type of wrestling. It's just, I think that's a great pick right there. I was having a tough time, so I'm going to pick out, as far as NXT goes, Triple H pointing out that they don't call a belt because of Leon Ruff's not being able to keep the belt around on his waist. I thought that was a year candidate, and I also saw this tweet where someone, I think his name was @Seahawk. He said NXT and AEW are so much better. Watch them. And I actually just want to point out that back to what we were talking about earlier, that I actually agree with that. That like this recent thing that they did last week, where they would come out, where one came out later in America, that worked out. I don't watch back and usually I don't. I just watch whichever one I'm gonna. I watch it first and then I record the other one, and that's just how it goes. But I just want to point out that if they could find out a way to switch days, do like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Wednesday, Thursday type thing, man, we could, as wrestling fans, we could just stop all of that arguing, and it would be so pleasant just watching wrestling all week. But that's just.
Well, the thing is, with the UK, we get Raw, SmackDown, NXT all live. We can watch at the same time, but we don't get Dynamite until Friday evening because ITV, who hold the rights, can't actually show it live because the ad breaks break British law, which I never knew before, but apparently you can do it on satellite. So, like I said, I can watch NXT on like the Thursday after work, and then Dynamite is a Friday night thing, which actually gives me time then,
Exactly. I think that we have this whole thing where they're on, if you're watching National in America, they're on at the same time. And, it's that's part of the war thing is because of the ratings update. And I know a lot of that is there on Wednesday, but, it's just still something that I noticed, and I thought it was a point.
No, without a doubt. Like I said, it was difficult this year because there's not kind of been out and out tweets back and forth because of the pandemic and everything that's kind of been going on. I think wrestlers have been watching themselves a little bit closer. Of course, with the Twitch stream and everything being banned, they're kind of working on a tightrope at the moment because obviously, everything that has happened this year. We'll move on to one of the most well-known awards, I would say. It's the most improved. What wrestler or what thing has been most improved this year in NXT?
I believe the most improved wrestler to me, and I don't necessarily, I mean just like all of it together, position and how much I like and believe in her character. And of course, she was injured, I think last year. I believe that was last year. Dakota Kai is my pick. I believe she in so many levels as far as like where she's in the division. Like at first, I was unsure. I thought she was kind of knock off Bailey, character, but ever since she had a chance to get out and show more of an aggressive side with that already nice style and striking style that she used in the ring, I just been really enjoying a lot of the she really has improved in standing in my eyes.
I think without doubt, and you could even say Gonzalez alongside her have improved so much been put in a position with Ripley now where they know she's safe, and Kai coming out on top with a feud over Tegan Nox. I know Nox has had again a third ACL injury, which is just kind of awful news. But Dakota Kai's kind of gone from that and is one of those at the moment where she is a trusted hand on NXT, you know. And like I said, you talk about the improvement coming through. I think next year could be the year for her to actually find some success with Gonzalez or not. I think my most improved, and it's not a wrestler per se, but it's Johnny Gargano. And before anybody goes, well, Johnny Gargano's a great wrestler. Yes, he is. But work, don't forget when he turned, wasn't at that level. He was still kind of loved for being Johnny Wrestling. And I feel the last, you know, especially the last 6 months, he's kind of really honed the craft. You know, the feud with Damian Priest. And everything that's gone through with Candice LeRae now as well, we even see it with Gargano Christmas. I think his heel work is kind of second to none now in NXT, and I think that has been the biggest improvement for me this year.
I agree. I love it. I think because he's so great in the ring and always has been, he don't come to mind when you think most improved sometimes. But yes, as a character and like his way, with the way he make you feel as a heel, he's way more convincing now. It just seems much more natural. If there's one thing I will count on, is him making me chuckle at just how annoying can come off, or just how, you know, dismissive. It's funny. Everything he does is hilarious, but I also understand why you can toe that line per heel. I think if you do that, you really can make magic in wrestling. If you toe the line between being kind of funny, because we know you can bring it in the ring, and I think that's what Gargano has really established as in his character.
Yeah, I think that only we see him now with the North American title, and is it only a matter of time until LeRae gets it and the prophecy is met? I think with NXT, the one thing I do like about it, we saw it with the Undisputed Era, you know, when it's got a storyline, it usually has a payoff. So hopefully that can work out in 2021. Another interesting award that we give out is Better Off Last Year. What NXT wrestler is better off last year than they were now?
I think you already said it earlier. It's just so simple. Velveteen Dream was on pace, like you said, not only one of the biggest stars. He is supposed to be probably currently something, you know, completely different than where he is now. And of course, it's all due to his own actions and situations. But still, it's crazy to think about how he could go from one of the best, because he was young, you know, you just thought he perfect, he had a great future, and to now you're just unsure to what's going to happen.
I think that is the best bet for Better Off Last Year. And that would be my pick, along with someone else. And again, my next couple of choices, I don't want anybody to hate me, right? But Better Off Last Year, I'm going to say Rhea Ripley, right?
Oh, great.
Because if you think about where she was this time last year, she had just been in Survivor Series. You know, the team had won. She was getting on her way. And then, you know, if we lead on the same timeline of she was going to face Charlotte, imagine Ripley running through Charlotte at WrestleMania. The star is born then. And then it could even be, you know, losing to EO at TakeOver, moving up to the main roster and kind of being a dominant force she is, as opposed to what has she really done in a year, you know?
Honestly, until this Rock began, I think biggest thing she did of note, besides the EO and a couple of rematches, I believe, or whatever, in a match, I think that was due to Rob Stone. So yeah, and Aaliyah. So you know, that's pretty much it. She hasn't done a whole lot, and I agree with her. I understand this may rub some people the wrong way, because I know, you know, Rhea definitely doesn't need to, you know, she's not better off last year, like as far as in the ring work. I think she's still having great matches. It's just like you said, as far as where she was and where it looked like she was headed. Yeah, she definitely was better off last year.
I hope, you know, next year people can email me angrily and say, well, look, she became multiple-time women's champion this year. And I'll be like, well, that's great, but she didn't at the end of 2020. So let's hope Ripley can, like I said, have a better 2021 than she did in 2020. And this is the one overrated in NXT. This is the award that's probably going to get me in a lot of trouble. Who's your most overrated in NXT?
Okay, so I don't think mine's going to be too much. It may be. I'll have to see. But and I don't. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Santos Escobar is overrated based on how he's projected on television, and even though I've enjoyed, he talks as if he is reestablished the vision. I will say now I don't watch. Even though I have heard good things about it, what they've been doing on 205 Live. I
Yeah, no one
believe
does.
exactly. No one really keeps up that I know about that. So, and the cruiserweight division is still, it exists in NXT, and they have Jake Atlas, Swerve. They have a strong matches. Still not where I thought it, especially with the whole tournament they had at the beginning of the pandemic and all of that. But I think I'm expecting more from him next year, and that's what I will say. I think in the ring he has everything you need to be, but I think he can do so much more. Him and his his faction, they can do a lot more. And I don't know, maybe they're just scratching the ball. But as of right now, he's
Well, they need challenges. Like I said, a champion is only as good as who he's got stepping up. And if it is, just Ashante Lee Adonis, then it's not that big a challenge. And I think that's something they could definitely look at. And again, like I said, nothing. It's not perfect in NXT. Like I said, the NXT tag team division and the cruiserweight division still needs a lot of work.
exactly.
But my overrated, and again, this is gonna, I'm gonna say my overrated is Finn Balor.
Oh God. Okay. All right. Now
Yeah,
explain
right.
to me.
Right. No. Right. This is why I'm explaining it. So Balor is a great wrestler. There's no doubt about that, right? A great character. I really, really like him. But ever since, and it's kind of something to do with kind of like Most Loved a couple of years ago as well, is Balor does a lot of things right. But I think the general consensus when it comes to either people on Twitter or elsewhere is that Balor is a main eventer. He is WWE champion, WWE Universal Championship level. Now, why I'm saying he's overrated, I don't see Balor as that. I see Balor as a fantastic Intercontinental Champion. I see him as a United States title, or where he is in NXT now. I'm not going to say he's the king of the independents. Is not me kind of slapping him in the face, but I think Balor has found a style. He's found his kind of work and how he likes to work, and I think being in NXT suits him more. And I think people that says, he needs to be on the main roster is WWE champion. I think he's overrated because if you look at the other talents on the roster, like a Pete Dunne and Adam Cole, then in my eyes, have a chance before Balor does. I might be wrong with that, but I don't know what you feel.
Okay, I get that point of view. I honestly, especially when you think about it from where he's kind of talked about amongst world champion status, and I think it has a lot to do. Even though it didn't a universal title run, he had definitely got a lot of people's hopes up for what he could become at the top of the card. I don't know. I agree. I would love to see it. It'd be nice for Finn Balor to get that opportunity, but I agree. I don't think he was a top priority brought up, right now as like WWE champion. Not saying he didn't deserve it, but I see your point of view. I'm not saying you're right, but I do see your point of view. There, I see what you're saying. The only thing I'll say about that, as far as like Pete Dunne goes, Pete Dunne's another guy. Maybe now he's toned up and he's just great. He's very, very good at being aggressive. Maybe Vince would like his style as well, but I don't know. I don't know if Vince would like Pete over Finn Balor. But then again, they both kind of have similar faults he likes, if you know what I mean. So anyway, besides that, I understand what you're rated. I think I can understand it. But it's hard for me to agree with that when that's like we'll wait.
Yeah, no, well, I'm not saying he's an unbelievable wrestler, but I feel like the hype train with Balor, sometimes people put in a position where let's not forget the others that he's working with as well. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
But it's like that. It's even like that with Adam Cole. The people that he's worked with have made him look as good as he has last couple of years. It was just throwing a cat amongst the pigeons anyway. So we move on to overrated to underrated. So who's the most underrated performer on NXT right now?
Okay, so I may be showing my New Japan bias, but my most, and I think he's starting to do it. I think can do more, but where they're heading with him, I think Kushida is underrated. I don't think, especially in America, I don't think a lot of people over here know anything about what can bring to a thing. I know some, of course, we have a lot of people who are fans of New Japan who are familiar of him, but I don't know if they really know how good. There goes someone. I'm not saying I want him in, but if you were to have him as an anchor, he can help. Solidify him and Santos Escobar may have a great title just to establish the vision. You don't have to stay in. It's an idea anyway. But anyway, the point is, I think Kushida is very underrated. He's just so good in the ring, and I don't think NXT came close to showing off how good.
Yeah, I completely agree. Kushida's a great shout for that. My one underrated, and again, this is more about kind of NXT and myself, because I think the person that I've underrated the most this year has been Cameron Grimes. I think he's a guy that I just didn't like his look. I weren't sure about the character, and then in the feud with like I said, Loomis, the old expression of getting chicken shit and making chicken salad out of it. I think Grimes has delivered so much, and he actually made me believe that he was scared of this haunted house and the kind of performance. And a lot of wrestlers would have kind of half-hearted and not tried, and he's given everything. So just imagine that guy with a kind of direction, and a point to him. And I think that is why I think he's severely underrated. I think you give him something to sink his teeth into, I think he can truly deliver in 2021.
I can't think of a segment that I didn't enjoy that involved Cameron Grimes. Whether he was talking, whether he was doing a little squash match, a couple of moves, and a couple of moves in every match that I just go like, how did he do that? Anyway, like I love I'm about to call him his other name, but I love Cameron Grimes. She's very, very good, and I think he's a great pick for underrated. I think he caught your attention, and I hope other people, have take note of just how good he has a chance to also be very, very good for years to come.
But this is the kind of beauty of wrestling. This is why I still like it even now as well, is because that your guy can show up that you're not sure about, or you've heard on the independent scene, or and you're going, well, you're going to me, and then you do, and this is why I will change my opinion. If there's someone I thought, oh, they're terrible, it's like Pat McCaffrey, and then he does something, you go, well, actually, I've actually got to say fair play to you, because I didn't think you could do it. And I think Grimes is another one of those guys who's going, all right, yeah, no, you've definitely turned my attention there. And talk about turning your attention to, who's your one to watch for 2021?
Okay, I decided to do one for the women and Damian Priest for obvious reasons. I think he's one to watch in WWE overall. I think star for whether it's NXT or whether it's WWE down the line. And I think Raquel Gonzalez of women's division. I think the same points can be made about both people. They could be two of the biggest stars in this company's history if treated right and booked in the right way. I love what NXT is doing with them so far.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think my one to watch, and I've got, like I said, one for the women's and one for the men's as well. My women's, and again, one to watch. I think a lot of people are already on the bandwagon, but like I said, Shotzi Blackheart, as long as she doesn't, like I said, as long as she doesn't kill herself, I think 2021 can be something unlike anything else, because it's a style and it's a different character, and she's just unlike anything that we have seen, and I think that makes you sit up and take notice. And I say with the male one to watch, maybe I don't like him as much as I should, but I think Austin Theory, with his connection with Gargano and Candice LeRae now, depending on how they play it out, he'll either be cannon fodder, or he maybe be able to have a series of matches against Gargano, which I think is only a good thing for him. So I would say those two are definitely ones to watch out for next year.
Yeah, definitely. Blackheart. I can't say nothing but great things about Shotzi Blackheart. I think you hit right on the nail. She's nothing like anyone else on the roster, and that is perfect for building a perfect star like right there. When she's nothing, like when you can't find anyone like her, I think that's a great element to have. And Theory always in the ring, and I think him and Gargano definitely could have great matches together, similar to a match he had with Adam Cole this year. If they were, to do that, I think Theory could excel if they would showcase his skill.
I think without a doubt, and I think this is the thing they have to do with certain wrestlers, is give them a chance, like we talked about Cameron Grimes, and see if they can take it to the next level, so to speak. Our next award, because we're moving towards the big ones, but our next award is Move of the Year. And my favourite move of the year is very, very simple, and it's Leon Ruff. And it's going from the top rope to the second, to the bottom, underneath the guy's feet. It's just magical, you know?
It's a beautiful every time you. I wish it was like a setup to it, like so he could just save it to like the perfect moment and hit it out of nowhere kind of before it finishes. I don't know. It's just insane. It's still a great see. I love it. I pop for it. My move of the year, just based on the fact that it was inevitable whenever she wrestled, is EO's moonsault. Didn't matter for most. When she pulled out the moonsault, you knew what was going to happen. Until recently, I think. Until this last War game, it didn't. She did not get the victory in that match. But yeah, it's been dominant to watch every time she does it, and I think it's always could be a candidate for this award as long as she's on NXT.
I think without a doubt. All right, so we're moving on to the big ones now, and our next one is Entrance of the Year. I think there's been, entrances maybe been hampered a little bit due to COVID and everything's going on there. But I think when I look at NXT this year, I think there's one entrance that sticks out with me, and that is, of course, Karrion Kross coming out. With Scarlett Bordeaux singing along with it, I mean, yes, I'll take that, but it's just the whole smoke and mirrors thing, and he felt like a big deal as soon as you saw his entrance.
Yeah, I agree. One of the most definitely eye-catching. I feel like one thing it does, if you're not really into wrestling, watching television, and you flip on to that and you hear the music and you see the smoke, and like you said, you see all of that happen, you see how the entrance comes together. It could just keep you stuck to the television screen trying to figure out, what are you watching. It's kind of hypnotic almost. I agree. I love that. I think where Damian Priest brought out the guitarist, I think that moment. I love Shotzi Blackheart's at War Games, posing at the stage. That was two of my favorites. So I picked those out. I think I'm going with Priest.
Yeah, no, I mean Priest was. I remember that now as well. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And that's the pose on the stage. But that is entrance. So hopefully next year, like I said, they can have more fans in attendance and maybe grander entrances when it comes to takeovers. And another thing NXT needs to work on that we talked about is the tag team division, because like I said, only one takeover this year. The tag team titles have been defended. But tag team of the year, who is your NXT tag team of the year?
As far as in-ring work goes, maybe you could make a case for Breezango, but my pick, just off pure enjoyment of the storyline that we have here and just their chemistry and the way they team with each other is Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. They come in. I've really enjoyed everything they've done to put this team together, and I love their back, and even more so than a lot of their matches when started, to be fair. But I think in the short time I've seen them, I really like what they're doing. But I agree, they really need to work on the tag team division, because it wasn't really a deep pool to pick from. Maybe Imperium. I don't know.
Well, exactly. Undisputed Era, maybe, but again, not been featured as much. I will say my tag team of the year has been my tag team before, but this year they finally got the gold. And yes, they had to sell their soul to the devil, but they are tag team champions, and of course, featured in the main event of War Games. It is Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan are my tag team of the year.
They definitely deserve it. They deserve it all. They deserve it all. Even if they, like you said, had to sell their soul to Macca of all people. They're at the top. And, again, even if I wanted to think about how, like, who would even be against them? I can't think of anybody that's even close, So, again, off pure enjoyment, I chose Maverick. But you cannot go wrong with Orny Lorcan.
Well, let's hope these two teams can have a series of matches now, because the thing is about Lorcan and Burch is how well they work with any other team. And, of course, Drake Maverick's got the kind of ability to just – is so likeable. And the story with Dane, again, talk about NXT, hopefully being able to pay off. And we talk about storylines. And our next award is Storyline of the Year. Of course, we've got Rivalry of the Year, but we'll go with Storyline of the Year first. And my one is Adam Cole's year. That is my storyline. I know maybe technically not a full-on storyline, but when you look at where Undisputed were at the beginning of the year, with Adam Cole as the kind of, the Darth Vader type, and then with the kind of breakout of O'Reilly and the single star from him there. Of course, the match with Keith Lee and losing his NXT title after becoming the longest reigning champion, and then into Pat McAfee. I think anything Adam Cole's been with this year is kind of the storyline being told of a guy who's, he's one of the biggest faces on NXT now compared to where he was at the start of the year. It's been a fantastic story.
I agree, and the process turning into, I wouldn't say he's outright, but he's definitely not, bad guy. How the Undisputed Era is in this role is unique, and I agree. I've also loved how throughout the year he's kept me rather invested. I'm still wondering now, as we go into, is Adam Cole gonna keep allowing him to fight for that belt that he held for so long? It's just, I agree. He's very, very interesting. Very interesting storyline is what they've been doing with Adam Cole. I like that a lot. My pick would be in pure enjoyment. The story itself may not be the deepest story, but Cameron Grimes. I gotta give them props. It may went a little bit long because I didn't think they needed to fight as many times as they ended up doing. But overall, they could take their qualities and you think about how much you enjoyed, just them together. And then, like you said, the way Grimes, his character, like you have to have some character to work with a character like Loomis, because Loomis doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't talk. He doesn't emote much. This is purely off your reaction. So Cameron Grimes, I love their and the storyline and culminating with that strap match. I really like their storyline. I thought that was for just pure enjoyment. Especially with the Halloween Havoc, one of my favorite matches of the year. So yeah, that's my storyline.
Well, that's your storyline here. The next award is Rivalry Year, and mine is Dexter Lumis versus Cameron Grimes.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is where we were going here. I was trying to figure out, should I put it for rivalry? And I found something else. I'm glad. It's nice to see that, the thought processes were similar here. I'll give you that.
Yeah, basically, wow. Everything you said about Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis, and a storyline I didn't think I needed, that I really, really enjoyed and was paid off really well. I can't say anything more. It's my rivalry year.
I agree. That's the thing. Like if you look at the premise, you would think like this would be something if the producers were telling you this is what you're going to be doing. You're like, really? Like this is horrible. But their execution of it made it all make sense. My rivalry bias when they're there is, besides the finish of that triple threat match with Austin Theory being unveiled, is Damian Priest and Gargano. Even with Leon, you can allow that to be a part of the rivalry, and that last trip, the rivalry even stronger. Priest and Gargano has a great chemistry together. I enjoyed the first match. I enjoyed the match just over the NXT North American title, and now that Gargano has prevailed, of course I'm biased towards Damian Priest, but some of the strongest matches of the year, and like their rivalry NXT throughout the week as far as television goes, especially with the champion being in and out and a lot of the other stuff going on around it.
I think without a doubt. All right, up next, we've got 5 awards left, and these, like I said, are the 5 biggest awards that we give out. So first up, we are going to do Woman of the Year. I don't think it's any surprise who's my pick. What about yours first?
I don't, unless I really will be shocked if we have a different pick.
if we've picked like Candice LeRae here, I am going to be surprised. But there can only be one, really, isn't there?
Yeah, he deserves it.
My Woman of the Year is, of course, Io Shirai.
I agree, 100%. 100%. It was easy, honestly. It was really easy.
I was going to say, what can be said about Io? Not only the coolest woman, but maybe the most exciting to watch, and just delivering in every big match she's in this year.
Definitely delivering every big match. And I want people to watch, especially the people who think cannot be, portrayed a certain way or can't be a top champion. Like, look at the way they portray Io is also very perfect. The the promos with subtitles. Even when she does speak, it's meaningful. You know you need to listen. It's quick. So I like how she does. It's cool. And like I just wish characters like Shinsuke Nakamura would get to do stuff like this and just display that on the main roster. But that's another argument. Io deserves this, and she's definitely, in my opinion, the best woman on NXT.
Right, when she comes out, it just screams superstar, and you wonder how they're going to fuck it up on the main roster. But like I said, the Io as a character is second to none. All right, who's your man of the year, then? WNR Award for Man of the Year.
Drum roll, please. No, I'm just playing. The only win this award, but also your over my man of the year is Finn Balor. I do want to point out that Finn Balor, in my opinion, just had one of the strongest years that you can point out, and I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil it. My next one of my other picks, Finn Balor, will be there, so I will explain more. That's how good a year it's been to me.
My man of the year, Balor is right up there. Keith Lee would be a guy. We talk about how big a 6-7 months he had in NXT before the title run came to an end, and Lee would have got it if he was on NXT. But I can give it to one man, and weirdly enough, it's my man is the guy that's going to face your man the next time we're doing a podcast together in a couple of weeks' time for new NXT New Year's Evil.
Hey,
and that, what about a segue? And then that is Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, this man at the start of the year was just a part of the Undisputed Era. Right now, he's on the precipice of superstardom if he can beat Finn Balor. To go, and he's not done a lot. It's just been strong ring work, and character development. That's the thing that's worked for him this year, and that's how simple wrestling can be.
I agree 100%. It's beautiful to see. It's something that it's becoming almost, especially in WWE, is a guy who was primarily in a tag team, a chance to do it and still be associated with the team. No screw jobs, no breakups so far, and all that. So it's just, and like you said, the ascension. He's only since he's been back, he hasn't fought that many. It just shows you the impact that the matches he's had. The impact that they have had. I think the match with Pete Dunne not too long ago. It was like his output has been insane, and I understand why he's for Man of the Year.
All right, so we'll move on now, and this is a big one. It is a takeover or special event of the year. I say that because Halloween Havoc for me is probably my favourite NXT event that we've watched this year, but I would say it's obviously can't count that as a takeover. So my favourite takeover is NXT Takeover Portland, which is all way back in February, and this is of course before COVID. Like I said, the main event was Adam Cole versus Ciampa, and I just think it was at the moment in time where, looking at the card, maybe we had better cards elsewhere in the year, but I think every single match kind of delivered. Like we said, we had Balor versus Gargano, Ripley versus Belair, the Broserweights in action as well, and it kind of and Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic sealing the show with the very first match. I think that's why it's got to be my takeover of the year. What about you?
As far as takeover goes, we want to go specials by far. I agree. Halloween, enjoyed it. Beginning to Can Do No Wrong. I think that was probably the best show of maybe. I don't know. But it was definitely one of the most enjoyable shows. My pick was one that surprised me that it was good, and that was Takeover 31. Going into it, I'm not saying I did the most. I knew I was definitely hyped with Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. I didn't expect from that. I was expecting big things from Io and Candice LeRae, and they delivered as they tend to do. That's also a strong option for rivalry, Io and Candice. Kushida dismantling Velveteen Dream, one of my favorite moments, just in pure enjoyment. Damian Priest and Gargano, anytime of course, I'm into it. So I really liked mostly because I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. Besides the Finn Balor O'Reilly match, and then the Finn Balor O'Reilly at the top by being one of the best matches.
I think without a doubt, you talk about a pay-per-view, and that's what's kind of great about a takeover, is that they always deliver, and it's maybe the events you're thinking, I'm not so sure, and they head out of the park and go, that's why I love NXT for. I think that's, what we see with the takeover events and the special events this year.
I agree 100%. They I don't know what it is, but it's just that feeling. They put out strong shows. You can argue for multiple NXT, and this is not the first year. That's how good their takeover catalog is.
I think without a doubt. All right, so 2 more awards left, and the next award is for overall wrestler, man, woman, or not child, but anyway, overall wrestler for me this year has got to be Io Shirai. I think if anybody was to say to me, James, pick me an NXT superstar, Io Shirai would be the one. And not just her jumping off the top of the cage with a trash can, even though, again, I don't know if I've mentioned that today, but it's one of those moments. But every time you see her, she oozes that kind of, you talk about this kind of it factor. She's kind of got it. Everything she does in the ring as well is just kind of smooth. She knows exactly what she's doing. And I think you look back at the matches she's had this year, they've been fantastic. She's main evented a takeover for the first time. Women have done that since Banks and Bailey in 2015. So she's kind of showing everybody how to make it work in this COVID kind of era. Io has just gone from strength to strength, and that's why she's my overall wrestler of the year.
I agree 100%. She's definitely just MVP of like the entire like you said roster. I can, and I know I don't think I'm a Finn Balor fan. I bet, but it's not really the case. It's just when I look back over the year since he's returned in 2019 towards the end of last year, he has been like involved. Is my favorite matches throughout the year. Like again, I like Dragunov and a match with Tyler Bate, Velveteen Dream, even that match with him. Thatcher, of course, again, O'Reilly, Adam. I think the Fatal 4-Way that everyone was a part of, that counts. Like Finn Balor has been a part of some of the best moments, and it's just it was a reoccurring name all throughout everything in 2020 that you can find. He was reoccurring and he was impressing. So I think that's my overall.
I think if we're going to do like the Mount Rushmore of NXT for 2020, Io, Adam Cole, and Keith Lee, I think would be my 4 who've had the biggest impact. Because, like I talk about, Keith Lee was delivering match after match on takeovers, and then Balor and Cole have kind of taken that mantle on. I mean, there's some incredible talent in NXT right now, isn't there?
Oh, there's so much talent. And think about that. You just mentioned that Mount Rushmore, and you leave off Thatcher and Gargano. Like it's just like that's how strong it is. All of those people I just named have been doing great. So yeah, the roster is just very almost. I don't know about it's really as good as it.
Without a doubt. Well, 2020 has been, I'd say, not as good as it gets, but we've just got one more award now for the NXT WNR Awards in 2020, and that is the match of the year in NXT. I mean, for me, O'Reilly versus Balor, the Women's War Games match. What is your match of the year?
Yeah, it was out of this match. Men's War. I enjoyed the Men's War. The ladder match prevailing. My pick overall is Kyle O'Reilly and Balor, and I take over 31. I've spoke about it throughout the show numerous times, so I don't want to restate that. I want to point out though, I was really having a tough time because I didn't know if we were including NXT UK because, of course, Walter and the match that he just recently had. I can't think off the top of my head. I'm losing it. It was a classic match.
Dragunov and Walter.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. So I had Dragunov. But anyway, so yes, one of the best matches, just physical. I heard a lot of polarizing opinions about it, about that. But Kyle O'Reilly, just again, brutality, styles mesh perfectly well, and we're going to get in 2021. I hope that match lives up to this match, and I want to make a point. I don't know if I'm going to remember it by next, but maybe that match can be just as good as one, and I'll remember it next December, and it can be my pick for next year. I think that's my pick.
Yeah, I think when you look at the matches that are on show, like talk about North America ladder match and others that you can throw in, I think my choice, my favourite match, maybe not the best from a technical standpoint or bump wise, but I think the biggest moment for me and my favourite match of the year is at the Great American Bash, and it's Adam Cole versus Keith Lee, because at that moment in time, it was the two kind of biggest guys in NXT, and Keith Lee's moment, finally getting a victory, kind of, with tears in my eyes, so to speak, and watching him get the job done. Like I said, there might have been technically better matches, but I feel with that one, Keith Lee and Cole is my match of the year.
You cannot go wrong with that. Perfect match. It definitely deserves consideration. I believe one of the things that kind of hurt it to me is, again, recency bias maybe, but still, definitely I remember the year, and it was just a great match altogether. And I agree. I like it. I like that. Man, what a year inside a terrible. It's amazing how great look back at this year wrestling, even though it was terrible for many other reasons.
Well, it's even like, how we started off the episode talking about unfortunate things that have happened, and imagine to look back and find positive things that happened in 2020. And like I said, I've had so much fun going through the WNR Awards and picking them all out. How did you find the experience?
I thought this was really, I really enjoyed it. I thought this was way more thought-provoking than me. I really did the research and kind of go into the annals of like January, like you mentioned earlier, with Worlds Collide being pretty much feeling like that was a century ago, even though it was in January. You have to do a little research to figure this out, but I enjoyed the process, and it was great also to see where we parted, and also in common with a lot of some of these were inevitable. A lot of them I love to see the contrast.
I think without a doubt, it's been a pleasure to have you on again, and like I said, that is 2020 in NXT. But 2021 is only a couple of weeks away. You'll be back with us to watch NXT New Year Evil. And like I said, Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly. What are your hopes for NXT in 2021?
Oh, man, I'm expecting bigger and better things. Maybe finally a little bit more wide. Continuing to focus, of course, on their strongest suit, in my opinion, and, of course, their main event scene. But maybe they can finally start to build and focus more on the tag team. Flesh out and deafen out the roster more bodies, especially in the tag that you need it right now in the cruiserweight division, But other than that, I just more of the same, Great specials, great, wrestling, and interesting stories. They've been doing a really good job of keeping weekly, and I look forward to NXT on a week-to-week basis, and I think they're just going to continue to grow, and hopefully it just continues to get better and better, and we have less holy shit bad moments to talk about. It'll be even harder next year to come up with bad moments.
Well, like I said, that is it for the WNR Awards for NXT. But don't forget, across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR JR. Our follower is Luis Camacho. What are you on Twitter? Do you want to plug yourself?
Yes, hold on. At Monty Mo Pod. We do lifestyle, wrestling related stuff, music, all types of stuff. I'm just talking now at this point. But check us out, man. I have all the links. Hit me up.
Yeah,
Appreciate
definitely,
you, James.
No problems, man. Like I said, it's always great to have you on. Check his stuff out on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook, the WNR Podcast, and also Instagram. Send us an email, the WNR Podcast @gmail.com. We're also on YouTube, where podcasts go at the same time on YouTube as they do on SoundCloud on your phone, and also Stitcher and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. The final WNR Awards, it's WWE's turn with Jaxie Scarlett. That's our next episode. But like I said, it's been a pleasure to be joined by Mind of Monty, and like I said, you'll be back with us in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes, sir. And you guys have a good holidays and enjoy. Be safe, have fun, but be safe about it. If that's possible.
If not, whatever. But like I said, But again, like I said, thank you for joining us, mate. It's always been a pleasure to have you on, and thanks for listening, everybody. And bye.
Adios.